So guess what, guys? There's a huge news from Toyota just announced right now. Of course, we've been waiting for this news for the last few weeks, but Akio Toyota and the entire team at the Toyota have announced something very significant. So let's talk about it right now. So just a few minutes ago, Toyota has announced huge news in terms of various products. Everything from all new conceptual Century Coupe, that is a luxury sports coupe, absolutely gorgeous looking. More on this just a few minutes later, as well as Lexus six-wheel drive people mover. Yes, you heard it right, six-wheel drive, and they're calling it LS concept, which means the LS sedan has been replaced by LS people mover. Then over to the Toyota brand, which is talking about a variety of different things, but they gave us a teaser of the next generation Toyota Corolla, which looks absolutely futuristic. And I can't believe that they're showing us a very clear image of what the next generation Corolla might look like. And so let me come back to each of these stories. There was also some news about Gazoo Racing, but they said they're not going to show that right now, and more to come in the Tokyo Auto Salon next year. And there was also some news about Daihatsu, but that isn't as interesting to us since Daihatsu is not sold in North America. So let me come back and go through each of these branding, which is a new strategy from Toyota, and go through all of them in details. Now, the live stream just finished a few minutes ago, so I'm going to do this kind of podcast style or live stream style. And so if I make some mistakes, I had to apologize in advance, because I want to get this out to you as soon as possible. So bear with me as I talk about each of these brands, which is being launched with some crazy, interesting concept. So let's start off with the Toyota Century, which is now its own brand, as we expected. And they're showcasing this wild and beautiful and gorgeous Century Coupe, which is perhaps one of the best looking vehicles to ever come out of Toyota's branding or Toyota's product lineup. It's just absolutely crazy looking. And for those of you who understand Century well, you remember that it started off with the sedan for many years, and then they introduced this SUV, which is also very gorgeous. But now Akio Toyota said Century is going to be its own brand, something that we knew it was coming. But this is an official confirmation that Toyota is elevating the Century brand to the very top, above and beyond the Lexus. And it's going to stand on its own feet, will have its own brand. And in addition to the sedan and SUV, it looks like they're getting ready to launch this gorgeous product that is basically a coupe. And not just a regular coupe, but it's a sports coupe or sports luxury coupe along the lines of Rolls Royce Spectre. But this one has a sliding door that moves forward, which you'll see in this photo right here. And it is shockingly, amazingly beautiful. Now, in case you're wondering, is this just a concept? Well, Akio said clearly in this live stream, which was in full Japanese, that everything that they're showing today is meant to go into some kind of production. He didn't confirm production, but he said they're not going to produce these concept cars just to have concept cars. He said, no. We're doing this because we're serious about producing them, developing them, and launching them, and that is the intent. So even though they didn't confirm the production of this vehicle, it sounded like they're heading toward that direction. And Simon Humphries, who is the head of design over there, also said, look, why would we spend our time developing these things if we don't intend to introduce them as a real product? So I kind of got a vibe listening to their Japanese that this is something that's going to come for sure. It's not just a concept car, that it is something that they're already worked on and that it is being confirmed for production. So I think you can take my word for it, but it is definitely coming to the market. Just don't know whether it's going to come to a North American market, since we don't even have the other Century models here, but it will definitely be introduced to Asia market, Middle East, maybe even Europe. And I'm hoping that eventually it'll come to North America as well. So that's my big hope and big wish. But in the meantime, just take a look at this gorgeous design. It's in bright orange, they said, to just signify something different for a Century. You know what? Toyota has never introduced something like this. Ultra luxury, ultra premium luxury coupe along the lines of Rolls Royce Spectre, Aston Martins, you name it. You know, these are custom built cars that are catered to some of the richest people in the world. But it's more than just that. This is signaling a new direction for Toyota, new direction for Century, to try to bring the Century as its own brand. And that's a huge news to us. I can't wait to maybe one of these days drive a Century, because maybe I'll have a chance to drive it in Japan at some point. But for now, just enjoy this beautiful imagery of a gorgeous coupe that has some amazing styling elements. Everything from the tail lamps to the front design to amazing design elements in the hood, as well as the grille, which is a classic Century grille. It's, you know what, pretty shocking news. So let's see what's going to happen over the next couple of years. We're going to get to see this at the Japan Mobility Show in just a few weeks, so I'll bring you more details and, of course, actual photos and images from Japan. So now let's move on to Lexus. So Akio Toyoda clearly said Lexus is below the Century, but still flagship, generally speaking, for Toyota. And this was maybe a bit of an odd one, because I'm not quite sure how to describe it to you, since they didn't really show a very concrete product. It was kind of very loose and somewhat vague. I mean, we'll get to see the actual model at the Japan Mobility Show in a few weeks, so I can bring you more details. But for now, all we have is this kind of teaser image of a concept vehicle, and they're calling it LS Concept. That's right, LS. So that's kind of odd, right? Because they just announced that Lexus LS will be canceled and discontinued, and yet they're showing this concept car with the same name, LS. And so they talked about that at the live stream, and they asked Akio Toyoda, why is it LS? You know, that's usually stand for luxury sedan. And he said, well, not really. The S doesn't have to stand for sedan. Maybe it used to, but it could also stand for space, as in providing lots of space. And so, you know, Akio Toyoda said that Lexus LS concept is like Lexus luxury space vehicle. And he kind of joked and said he might even refer to like mobility in outer space, right? Because that can also mean space. But, you know, what they really meant is that this is going to be a luxurious people mover. It shows kind of like a minivan style, but I don't think it's a minivan, because it's got six wheels all the way around, three on each side, obviously. And Simon Humphries then jumped in to explain how there was some interesting design advantage for having six wheels. Specifically, Simon talked about the fact that if you got six wheels, then the rear four wheels will be smaller than the front two, and therefore, you know what, they give you more space in the back, because the wheels are not intruding into the passenger area. And he was explaining, as a designer's perspective, that this opened up a whole new world, because the rear passengers can enjoy more space and better spacing, basically. So he said that this is an interesting concept, and again, they keep kind of laughing and joking and said, could this really happen? Like, are we going to introduce six-wheeled vehicle? And he said, why not? Akio said, why not? This can very easily happen. It's an interesting concept. And he kept emphasizing, along with Simon, that Lexus will not follow normal path anymore. They will not follow the norm, but instead Lexus will pave its own way, that it will not copy anyone. It's going to be different, it's going to be unique, and it will have its own pathway. So he kept confirming that Lexus is going to take a more drastic change in terms of concept, in terms of design, engineering. And they also asked whether this will be six-wheel drive, not just six wheels, but six-wheel drive. And again, Akio and Simon kind of laughed and said, why not? It could be. And so it'll be a pretty crazy concept if it's a six-wheel drive people mover and providing 3 rows of space. 2, 2, and 2 configuration. But again, when asked about whether something like this can go into production, both Simon and Akio said, well, you know what, we're not going to spend all this time to produce something that cannot go into production. So he said, sure, we can't confirm that it will be in production down the road, but we won't be spending time and investment into vehicle that won't come to fruition. So it looks like they're quite serious about this product. I still think it's a bit of an odd concept, and also even more strange that they're going to call it Lexus LS. But the idea is that they realize normal luxury sedan like the traditional LS just won't make it anymore in the market, and they need to do something different. And this is their definition of a new flagship for Lexus, something different, something unique, still moving people around, but in total comfort. And so you can kind of think of this as a super premium minivan. I don't even want to call it minivan because it looks pretty big. And if they do come to fruition with 6 wheels, maybe even 6-wheel drive, wow, yes, Lexus will be paving its own way because it's so different from any other luxury brand. So this was a really long live stream, and so they covered the Lexus, Sentry, and then now, of course, the mainstream brand Toyota. And they kept saying this new emphasis on a theme called to you instead of for you. They said for you sounds like a gift they're giving to you, but to you means they're developing something together and they're going to deliver this to you. And they showcased this teaser image of the new Corolla. And you know what? They even joked and said, is it really okay to show this image and B-roll because we're showing the future Corolla? And they kind of laughed and said, yeah, why not? So here's, for the first time, is the next generation Toyota Corolla. I assume it'll be a 2027 model year, and we're going to get to see it again at the Japan Mobility Show, so I can't wait to show you the actual product. But if they're going to show us the this version at the Japan Mobility Show in a few weeks, then maybe something that's closer to the production model sometime next year, maybe summer or fall. And so I assume that the final production model will debut maybe end of next year or early 2027 calendar year as a 2027 or possibly 2028 model year. But what's so shocking to me is, even though they didn't give us a lot of details, you look at the design. Wow, this thing looks fantastic, very futuristic, but not kind of odd looking in any way, in a way that maybe Toyota BZ4X was. This looks like nothing else in Toyota's lineup. It's still recognizable as a sedan, and therefore, yes, it makes sense that it's a Corolla. But it looks like something that's almost pure electric, but obviously, because Akio believes in gasoline vehicles, that it will showcase all three, which is probably pure gas and then hybrid, and then fully electric, maybe even a plug-in hybrid. So they'll have probably different iterations of the Corolla. At first glance, it does kind of look like electric car, but I know for sure they will have a gasoline versions. What do you guys think of this design? It looks just ridiculously futuristic. It doesn't even look like a production car. It looks like something out of a future concept car, but it looks amazing. Like, this is a Corolla, it's not a Lexus. And look at the rear tail lamp and also the front end as well. Very futuristic, but also just very sharp design, very different in terms of concept from anything else we've seen from Toyota. And even though they didn't tell us anything else about this new Corolla, they said this is it. This is the production model. This is going to happen. This is not just something for show and tell. It's actually going to go to production, and you're seeing it for the first time. And Akio again joked and said, is it really okay to show this to public? Like, isn't it a bit too much? No. And they said, no, it's fine. Just show it. And so this is the first time you are seeing the next generation Toyota Corolla. And again, I'm a little bit surprised they decide to show this, which is just kind of crazy. And they did show some other interesting stuff as well, like this one here, which is like a utility vehicle. They say it's kind of like a kit car, like a Lego car, that you can kind of build it to your own spec. It's very simple, and he said places like Africa can use this to customize it to their need, and it'll be very simple to be assembled anywhere in the world. They also showed this kind of concept vehicle for kids, or for, I guess, as toys or toy car. Also some mobility stuff for sports and other usage, and they show this one as well, which is something that you've seen already in previous Japan Mobility Show. Again, electric cargo van concept. So they did show those things. But for me, the biggest news was the new Corolla, and I assume that it is a 2027 Toyota Corolla. So that's exciting. And so that's kind of news for the Toyota brand. And we're not quite finished yet because they also just briefly talked about Gazoo Racing. Now, the good news is that more or less they confirmed that there will be GT3 sports car or race car, whatever you want to call it, will likely debut at the Tokyo Auto Salon, not the Japan Mobility Show, which is in a few weeks, but at Tokyo Auto Salon, which is always in January. And Akio himself said he will be there to introduce this sports car, which is on the billboard at the Fuji Speedway. They were talking about the fact that this billboard was teasing some images of the original 2000 GT, then LFA, and then finally this mysterious third car, and it said the soul lives on. And this clearly is the new GT3, whatever they might call it, because the front end looks much like the one they have already shown us before. And so I guess the good news once again is it looks like a GT3 will indeed come out very soon, most likely in January at the Tokyo Auto Salon. But unfortunately, they chose not to show anything more than this same image that we have already seen at the Fuji Speedway. This was a billboard. However, there was one bonus, and that is the fact that they decided to let us hear the engine sound, the exhaust sound of all three models of this billboard. So 2000 GT, and then the LFA, and then the GT3, or whatever they might end up calling it. So I will show that clip to you right now. But aside from that, they didn't announce anything for Gazoo Racing. I thought there might be more, but looks like they're holding on anything to do with Gazoo Racing until January, which isn't too far away as well. But let's listen to the exhaust sound of the three vehicles just for fun. So what did you guys think of the three exhaust sound? Of course, beautiful sound coming from all three, but for me, the most interesting one is the last one because that's the teaser of what could become the GT3, or whatever it might be called. And the engine sound, exhaust sound, it's just beautiful. It's got a just amazing sound. And they were kind of joking and said, hey, is it a V8? Is it a V6? And they said, oh, we can't say anything about it. But to me, it's clearly a V8. It's got a very deep growl to it. And you know what? It's basically a V8 for sure. There's no question about it. You know, the rumors we're hearing is that you'll be a V8 turbo, maybe with hybrid assist, much like we are seeing in some models like a Porsche 911 GTS. So we're not quite sure about all the final spec yet, but they have been teasing it for a while. As you know, there's been some prototypes running around. So we're really excited about seeing this in January. It's too bad we won't see it in Japan Mobility Show or at the Japan Mobility Show, but that's okay. The Tokyo Auto Salon is just around the corner. They didn't say anything else about the Gazoo Racing. There was no additional comments or news about it, and so there might be more interesting things that they will announce at the Tokyo Auto Salon. Obviously, the GT3 debut is the most important one, and they might also introduce something else at that time, but they're going to hold this back until January and really focus on the other brands for this live stream. And so that covers the Gazoo Racing. And then finally, they talked about Daihatsu, which is a micro or mini car division of Toyota. And they also play a very important role for Toyota because so many people in Japan buy this mini car or K car, we call them, and they do have very important products. So they did show a concept car as well, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's not going to be sold here and it's not as of interest to many of you guys. Maybe I'll do a separate video if you guys are interested. Let me know if you want to know more about Daihatsu. I'll just show you some of the concept that they've shown us for now. And so that kind of covers the entire live stream, again, which was aired in complete Japanese. There's no English version of it. There's no press release in English. So other YouTubers and media might have a hard time trying to decipher everything in this live stream. I guess they'll have to use some kind of translation device to figure out the English version of it. But I was very fortunate and thankful that being born and raised in Japan, I can understand everything in Japanese. So I'm telling you all the kind of inside scoop on this firsthand. It's 1 a.m. here now in the West Coast, and this thing just finished airing about an hour ago. But I wanted to get this out to you as soon as possible, give you the full news, because it's so exciting about the Century, about new Toyota models, Lexus model, and a little bit on the Gazoo Racing as well, and a little bit on Daihatsu. So I hope this was really interesting for you. Let me know in the comments below what else you want to know, because I'm going to be able to find out a little bit more probably before Tokyo Motor Show, or rather Japan Mobility Show. And of course, I'll be there in with Kirk Kreifels, and both of us will bring to you firsthand everything to do with these amazing concepts and news. And we can't wait to share a lot of stuff with you. So in the meantime, just let us know what you want to know in the comments, and if you haven't done so yet, would you kindly subscribe, because many of you guys watch my video but are not subscribers, and that would be very much appreciated. So anyhow, it's getting late. I'm gonna sign off, and I'll see you guys soon.